have a crazy background. We were just talking. You got from all over the country.
Yep.
Are you originally from California?
I'm originally born and raised Los Angeles.
Born and raised in California, and then your military background, and you said nationwide consulting?
Mm-hmm. Small boutique fitness studios.
Okay. I don't want to take all your thunder, so introduce yourself. Who are you? A little bit about where you're from, and kind of, what led you to Destin?
Sure.
Other than the great weather.
Yeah, and the beach, right?
Yeah.
What's up, guys? My name is Sasha Lopez. I am originally a Los Angeles, LA girl. Shout out to the 213. I was in Los Angeles for a decade after I got out of the military. And I was there, and I had a strength training gym that was all women. We were the first strength training gym for all women in the San Fernando Valley for about 10 years until COVID happened. And of course, COVID happened, shut everything down. And along those lines of those 10 years, I was doing business consulting for fitness boutiques. So like Pilates studios, yoga studios, cycling, anything that wasn't a big box gym where someone who wanted to kind of get introduced into that world would come in and say, hey, I need marketing, I need contractors, I need financial planning, and I would give them a plan and kind of hold their hand through it from inception to their grand opening. So once I closed doors, I did that for about 2 years, and it took me from Los Angeles to Georgia, and then from Georgia to Destin. And I got invited for a business in Destin to come check it out on the weekend. Had no idea that the water was that blue. And I've been here 3 years since. Nice. And so as far as the business that I have now, it kind of came out of a need for wanting to move and do indoor cycling, which is something that I enjoyed. But in like the bigger cities where it was known everywhere, rhythm riding, here, nobody had ever heard of it.
Right.
And the only place that had anything remotely close was in Pensacola.
Okay.
But I wasn't going to drive 2 hours.
Fair enough. It's not going to be, right? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I wasn't going to drive 2 hours a day. And
right.
So, of course, I jumped on the Peloton train and I was like, all right, this is cool. But it didn't last very long.
Yeah.
So I had a realtor actually come to me and was like, hey, there's this small studio right outside of Eglin Air Force Base. You want to check it out? And he knew my background, but I kind of was over just owning businesses. I had been doing it for 10 years and just wanted a break.
Yeah.
So I'm like, sure, let's just go check it out and see what happens. So I checked it out. It was like 400 square feet. So I bit the bullet. I bought some bikes, hoping that maybe I would fill a class once a week.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be like a huge grand opening. Like we were filling classes with a wait list like day after day.
Nice.
Yep. So there's that. That's the story.
Salesperson sold you on making another business. How about that?
Yeah, all right.
All right. So born and raised in not the best part of California, which is obviously 805, but pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close. And then you said you were there after the military. Mm-hmm. So were you active duty or were you reserve?
Yeah, I was active duty.
Okay.
So I left home at 18. I went at my first duty station was Okinawa, Japan for me. Yeah. Went all the way across the world. I was gone for most of I did like a 4-year stint because I got injured in the military. And so then after that I came home and I really didn't have any clue as to like what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like where I wanted to go. So I did what I was used to, which was just going to the gym and like athletics, trying to like keep from having PTSD and like anxiety and all the things.
Right.
So I would go to the gym and I would just spend hours at the gym. And the gym owner, I don't know if you remember Bally Total Fitness. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So Bally's is where I used to, I'm like aging myself right now. Bally's, the owner was there and he would always see me in there. Like, there's this new class that's coming out, like we're trying to introduce it and find people. You're always in here. Would you ever be interested in getting a cert? I don't have anything else to do. Like, and I'm a I did athletics in college. I did, athletic the whole time. So I took him up on his offer. Like I went and got a weekend cert. And like, that's how I started in the fitness industry. It was just working at Bali Total Fitness. Shout out to Bali Total Fitness.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you said in Los Angeles for 10 years after that. And you owned multiple fitness studios there, or were you doing consulting there?
No, so I owned 3 fitness studios there.
Okay.
We started off really small, and then it was kind of like I built it, and then I sold it, then I built it, and I sold it. My last one I kept for a little over 10 years. Until COVID, exactly. And so it was interesting the way it happened was I had a following from Bali Total Fitness, and it was predominantly women. And one of the things that I kept hearing was there's no space for women. The only thing that really was a women's only gym was Curves. Right. But by then Curves had gone out of business because they weren't keeping up with the times.
Right.
So it was like, we want a space where women can feel comfortable and work out, without having to feel the judgment or just whatever, of not knowing how to weight lift, going into a traditional gym. And it was like a light bulb, well, then why don't I just start one?
There's a need here.
Exactly. Right? There's a need. And I started, and it became this movement of grandmothers and daughters and their daughters and their daughters, just all these family members just coming to this space. I had 7-year-old women flipping 300, 400-pound tires, and it was just something that wasn't traditional in a sense, because especially in that community, which is predominantly Hispanic and Latin, when you think of that type of community, a lot of it comes with not having the best sources of healthcare and food and all of that. So these women were introduced to a different lifestyle that their ancestors and their parents and parents didn't really have access to. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was really successful for a long time. And I even think now I look back and I'm there's still that need.
Yeah.
Why?
You saw a need in the community for women's only fitness spaces.
Yes.
You found a need for it in California, and it sounds like we're really successful doing that.
Yeah.
And then, are those gyms that you sold, are those still alive? Did they survive?
No, they died. They died. So when I pulled the plug, it's crazy because I don't know why, but I had a gut feeling COVID wasn't just going to be a 6-month thing and then just disappear.
It's not 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
No, and people in the industry that I knew very well, a lot of them unfortunately lost everything trying to save their businesses. And I don't know, something about my gut just was you got to pull the plug ASAP. And I did. I pulled the plug. I think it was 2 weeks after really hearing about COVID ramping up.
Yeah.
And then I did an online situation for about 2 years. So we started off by renting out all of our equipment to our athletes, and then we just went into online on-demand training. And then after that, it was a month where athletes then started to want to purchase it. We kept the online going for a while. And that's when I moved to Georgia. So I was still doing online when I was in Georgia.
Okay.
And then I think maybe 6 to 8 months after is kind of when everything just kind of died down. Because of course people started finding spaces to go to again, and it's not, it's not the same being able to do that in person versus an on-demand type system.
Yeah.
So then that brought me here, and here I am.
And that took you to, you said you opened a little place out of the gate of Eglin.
Mm-hmm.
Was that also Rise and Ride?
No. So the one that I had in Los Angeles was known as Stronger Athletics, Stronger play on HER. And then Rise and Ride just became its own little entity of me wanting a place to cycle and not having it close by.
Okay.
And not wanting to do the traditional lay mills, let's sit on a bike and hit 90. And I just wasn't about that.
Right.
So when I opened, I'm how am I going to do this by myself? People here don't even know anything about rhythm riding. How am I even going to find an instructor?
Right.
And there was a girl by the name of Madison who came in, and she had done this before. like in big arenas, like Las Vegas, Dubai, all the things. And she found out that I was opening up a studio that was rhythm writing. So she came and auditioned, and like the rest was history. Of course, she left because her husband is military. So she left for like maybe 6 to 8 months after I hired her.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think rhythm writing, people know what it is here and they're starting to gravitate towards it. And now us being in Fort Walton Beach, where we're like in the epicenter of all of the surrounding areas and cities and communities, I only feel like it's going to grow from there.
So what is rhythm writing?
Rhythm writing is exactly what it sounds like, writing to the rhythm of the music. So the music actually creates the plan, or like the exercise plan.
Okay.
So every song has 2 beats, a slow beat and a fast beat. Depending on how much resistance you add to that song dictates then your output of energy.
Gotcha.
So I don't know, just pick any song, right? And you want to match your feet to that beat of that song. And then, of course, depending on the athletic ability of the person riding, you can turn it depending on how much output you can have on the bike.
Right.
So it's more of like I like to say it's like a club vibe, just with that exercise behind it.
Right.
You know, we turn the lights off, it gets loud, or sometimes there's like red lights and blue lights, and it's just one of those things where you're so immersed in the music part of it that you forget that you're exercising. But then at the end, like, you're drenched in sweat and you're like, how did this happen?
Right.
So that's one of the cool things where, you know, we have like themed rides. So like there's a rock ride for people who just love rock music, or there's like a Latin vibes ride, or there's hip hop, or it kind of tailors to every single person because music is universal.
Right.
So that's what it is.
I love that because it's, I mean, like you said, at the end of it, you didn't even realize you were really exercising because you were enjoying the vibe of it. But I've talked to so many people. I've been never professionally involved in fitness, but always, like, ever since I was a kid, I was playing soccer, then football, then I was always in fitness. I've always been going to gyms through my military career. So it's always been something I'm passionate about. But the amount of times people are like, oh, I just hate running. So don't run.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just don't want to work out, then just say you don't want to work out and I'll leave you alone. But like, if you're going to tell me, well, I hate running, then don't run. Find something else to do.
Exactly.
Go swim, go do rhythm riding. Just find a hobby that you like that's outdoors. Go hiking, walk on the beach. Like, it doesn't matter. Find something you enjoy and do that. But I love this idea of kind of making it not only just enjoyable, but fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can connect to the songs. So do you have different classes based off of people's music preferences?
We do.
Okay.
So like tonight is something more along the lines of Wednesday nights, okay. Yeah. Wednesday nights at 6:30 we do Hit and Hills, which is less rhythmic, but it focuses more on the structure of riding a bike. So it's all about intensity and speed, resistance, you know, and speed. And then Thursday nights we do throwbacks. So like throwback music, 90s, 80s, whatever.
Cool.
We have hip hop rides. We do like artist theme rides. So we've done like a Linkin Park ride. Then we've done a Beyonce ride. Then we've done like a 70s rock. Like it's just all over the place. And you can take it for years because there's so many genres and so many artists that, you know, people will do on our Instagram and say, hey, like, give us top 3 artists that you guys love. From there, we have like 60 different rides that we can choose from.
Cool.
And granted, everybody's not going to like every single ride, but that's why we offer multiple classes in our studio. So that if people don't want to ride, then they can do something else.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're obviously in studio in person. Is it just you that teaches?
No. So right now it's myself, and our grand opening was this past Saturday. So now we offer boxing.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We offer boxing. So we are the second boxing studio. The first boxing studio that they have here in Fort Walton Beach is tailored more towards like the serious boxer, like that, someone who's going to be competing.
Right.
We're more of the, hey, let's come in, punch a bag, sweat, like that type of vibe.
Right.
And we're the only studio that offers that. So now we have boxing classes, and then in the future we want to even expand to like strength training and a form of Pilates, just being a one-stop shop for the area. Because as you know, right, especially in this area, if you want a certain type of fitness, you have to have one membership. And then if you want another one, you got to have another membership, and then another, and like that can get really expensive.
Right.
Because just because someone who likes CrossFit or likes Pilates, they may enjoy something else.
Right.
But that requires them, A, having to go to that other location, and B, having to fork out more money for that studio.
Cool.
So having, my studio be something that has everything not only brings a different community, because people who box may never get on a bike, which is fine, but they're all in the same space.
Right.
And to me, that's really important, is creating that community of a diverse group of people who can all do the same thing towards whatever goals that they have in the health and wellness industries.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I mean, again, like I said, I've always been like kind of passionate about fitness. So that's always been point of frustration where it's like, well, I want to do these 4 things. And it's like, well, go to 4 different gyms, I guess.
Yeah.
I usually go on base because I have base access. So I usually end up in that gym, and there's like a little bit of everything to do, but it's not, you don't feel like you're part of the community in the base gym. You're just like, well, I'm in a gym, which is fine. It's a free place to go, so I appreciate it, and I still use it.
For sure.
It's definitely not the same vibe as where you walk in and it's like, hey, Sasha, or whoever there, people know you, and it's definitely ritualistic for people, which is great if you can create that community, because then they're excited to come. Yes. Because they want to see their friends, and it's Wednesday night, and it's, well, that's awesome. Do you do classes morning and evening?
We do classes morning and evening. We just started our morning sessions this week. So it's a little rough because people, it's cold here now. So not a lot of people want to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go work out at 5.
Everyone that's rolling their eyes because it's Florida. If you don't live here,
you don't know.
It gets down into the 20s.
It does.
And it's humid, which cold and humid is worse than dry cold.
The first year that I moved here, there were snow flurries here in Fort Walton Beach. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, where did I move to? Like, I was not prepared. When I came down, I took all of my jackets and everything and I put them in storage because I had no clue. And then here I am, it's like 18 degrees outside, like driving to the storage and like, you got to get some jackets out because this is not happening. So people listening, Northwest Florida gets cold.
I know. My first drill weekends, when I moved here in October, we moved to Panama City Beach, and then I was drilling at Pettijoux Field, so near Crestview. And I showed up to work the first weekend, just early January. I walk outside in just a summer uniform, so I'm like, that's Florida, it's fine. And everything's covered in ice. And I was like, what the hell's going on? This sucks.
Yeah.
But no, it does get chilly. Yeah, that's interesting. So morning classes are been a little more challenging.
Yeah, morning classes, I feel they do better when it's hotter outside.
Okay.
Because people don't want to be, they've got beach and they've got all the boating. So like the evenings, people want to be out on the water and they just want to get it done in the morning. So we'll see how that works. But right now we do have 2 sessions. We have an early morning session, which is 5:30 and 6:30. And then we have our evening sessions, which start at 5:30 as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
If someone is coming, I'm assuming it's by membership?
So we have a bunch of different price ranges for everyone. We have drop-ins, we have class packs, which are one-time things. We have memberships. We have it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the gym open for members to come in and use during the day, or is it just during classes?
It's only during classes right now. I have considered having an open gym type situation once our training area is completely done. Yeah. Because I think that would be something where people can utilize if they want to come in and get a workout in at 11. But right now it's just classes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's still hugely beneficial to people. And when it's, again, going back to the gym I go to, the England gym, when it's not open doors and you have to show up during the 24-hour access, there's 3 people in the gym. No one's over there. I'm usually there between 5 and 6 in the morning, and it's it's a ghost town.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
As soon as like the gym's officially open, that's when everyone starts to show up anyways. So that's awesome. So you said you're working on Pilates, you got boxing stuff. Do you have everything that everyone needs? Like if someone shows up, do they need to own their own boxing gloves or cycling shoes?
Yeah, they do need to have boxing gloves and their wraps. We find that when people actually invest in their equipment, they become more accountable for their schedule and their being, consistent. So as far as our bikes are concerned, we have dual pedals, which allow for athletic shoes and spin shoes. But we don't do spin shoe, like we don't rent out spin shoes.
Right.
So if people want that, then they have to purchase it.
Dual pedal, just to clarify, is where you kind of got the netting on one side and the clip-ins on the other.
Yeah, you have the cages on one side for you to just kind of put your foot in and you strap down with athletic shoes, and the other side is the clip-in for SPD cleats.
SPD? What does that stand for?
Yeah, I have no idea.
On the spot. Okay.
But I should probably look it up.
It's cycling something.
There's two types of cleats. One of them is Delta and the other one is SPD, which I'm sure is an acronym for something. I just have no idea what it is. And I probably should know.
It works. SPD cleats, look it up.
Yeah.
Do you sell that stuff there if someone needs it? Do you sell wraps or boxing gloves or?
We don't yet. We do have SPD cleats for sale, and we are looking at partnering with a company that does have really cool spin shoes to bring those in. Boxing gloves, not as of yet, and wraps the same. Okay. We just started those classes, so we kind of want to see how it goes, which it looks like it's going well because tonight, Wednesday, our class is sold out. So,
nice. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
What are you trying to add anything else going forward?
Oh, I'm completely open to what the community wants. I've always felt that as an owner, you have to keep your ear to what people want. Yep. It's not about what you want. It's about what's going to bring people into your business. Right. So if one day someone's like, hey, you should add this, and enough people want it and are invested in it, I'm completely open to it. And we have the space. I'm completely open to it. But I think just from being here and seeing what works and what people want, like boxing was a huge benefactor adding to our studio. Cycling has just done well in general. And then of course having a type of strength training that's not like barbell. So we are going to focus more on just like the dumbbell aspect of it, like a HIIT style dumbbell, kettlebell, the basics that people can take these things and take them home and still, even if they don't have a large area to work out in, they can still get these workouts in at home. So that's another thing too. We've got airmen who live in a dorm who can't haul up a 6-foot barbell into their dorm room, but still want to know how to work out properly, how to do things like deadlifts and overhead press and all of that. So being able to have a facility where we can teach that, and then perhaps maybe 6 months to a year have an on-demand system where they can even do the classes from wherever they are. That's kind of what the future looks like.
That was something else I was going to ask. Are your classes, I know you said you have kind of an array of classes available through your Instagram. Is that something like people can tune into during class and do live from home?
We do live sometimes, not in a way where we specify where, hey, get on your bike and do it with us. It's kind of just a way for people to see what it is that we do. But we are definitely looking into the on-demand system where we record our live classes and people can do them live and then even go back and do them at a later time.
Nice. Yeah. So would that be part of the membership, or would that be, if you've got, you said connections in California and Georgia and Japan apparently. So, the military spreads everyone out all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that something you would also make it where they wouldn't have to be local members and they could just get membership for it?
I think so. I love the fact that people, if you have a good instructor, and I've taught a lot of places and so have a lot of my other coaches, where people still want to have that connection with that coach. And so it's like when a coach leaves, if there's no way to really stay connected to them, then you lose them. So I think that being able to have just access to really good coaches online is super important. And if we can do that, then that's something that I'm down for.
That's something that I actually really like that didn't seem to really kind of take hold as a community-wide thing until COVID was kind of the remote availability. Like Zoom and Skype have always been a thing, but as far as like mass using and for businesses and stuff, you know, it doesn't replace the in-person aspect, but it makes it available to you. If someone goes on vacation for a month, you know, my parents just got back from Italy for a month, but they still want to do spin classes and they love your class, then it's like, hey, I can still tune in and I can still do this even though I'm on vacation. And you don't have to try and figure out a spin class in Italian. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I have this one, right.
Yeah, I think, and that's one of the reasons that companies, you know, like Peloton have become so widely successful is because, number one, they care about their coaches. Like, they are getting coaches who know what they're doing. And then these coaches develop these relationships with the people that are taking these classes where they become diehards for these coaches. So of course they're going to want to, you know, spend $40 a month if they have access to however many coaches they coach within a week. And that in itself is just a super efficient business model for just fitness in itself, because not everyone can have access to the in-person. And though online training isn't for everyone, it's still for a lot of people. Yeah,
absolutely. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Before we started recording, you were talking about doing local events and trying to bring some of the fitness community around here together. Also, what's your vision for that? What's that going to look like?
So right behind my studio, there's a really large park, and
Where's your studio? I don't think we've said
that.
So
yes, so the studio is located downtown Fort Walton Beach. The address is 180 Miracle Strip Parkway.
So
I'm downtown. I'm right downtown. And right behind that studio, there's a really large park, Landing Park, which they're still doing some construction. But my idea, because I have seen and I've been a part of these events before in other cities, is to have a fitness in the park where there's different facets of fitness that come together. So, for instance, yoga and Pilates and boxing and whatever. And people can come and take free 30-minute fitness classes, where then all of those fitness companies will have booths to be able to give out their information to whoever is interested. Because there's enough to go around, you know, and not everyone, as I mentioned before, is going to love boxing, and not everyone's going to love Pilates, but they may love something else, or it might even just inspire them to try something that they've never tried before. And bringing the community together, and ultimately, like, that is my go-to, is community involvement. Anything that can bring the community together is what my go-to is. Yeah,
that's awesome. And is that you said that's going to be free?
It'll be a free event. Yeah, cool. It'll be a free event that's going to be marketed through the city. Where hopefully we can get surrounding cities involved and just see what the health and wellness industry looks like for Northwest Florida, because we are a very small business oriented community. You know, I think a lot of Northwest Florida runs on the backs of small businesses, but yet a lot of the small businesses, there you go. A lot of small businesses don't get the green light, or the limelight, I should say, to kind of showcase what they do. Because there's really not that many platforms for it to say, all right, we're going to bring out our best instructors, like, come take their class, unless you go to that actual studio. You know what I mean? So,
and this is such an interesting community. Not only do I feel like I agree, like, the small business kind of makes everything run here, but because this economy is so built around, one, a very transient military community, because people get stationed here. Most people try and extend for 4 years, but like, for the most part, people are here for 4 or 5 years, then they're gone. And then on top of that, you have the tourist community that comes into town, which obviously, you know, the community placates to, and as they should. But there are these amazing businesses that really rely on the locals to be able to come in, because no one comes to visit in January.
Exactly.
They do, but it's minimal. And then the military, you know, you've got the most dedicated clients in the world, but then
they're gone.
Like you said, you know, see ya. Hope you get back here at some point. I was just talking to a buddy, and he's back up in Washington State, and he's like, I can't wait to retire. 2 more years. I'm coming back to Florida, you know. But yeah, the military just pulls people away, and it's such a huge part of this economy that it really, I think some of the small businesses don't get highlighted the way they need to because how quickly everyone's kind of in and out.
Absolutely.
We don't have that same kind of staple, but that I think just makes it that much more important that we do highlight these local businesses and do give them the opportunity. So that's really cool. I have an idea that I want to do at some point, and
tell me.
I'm not a fitness person, so, I should say I don't own a fitness studio, so but I was talking to Courtney about it, and I was like, I think it would just be hilarious, and I think it would be fun to do during a busier time, but probably not a time that's really hot, to do like a 5K or 10K.
Mm-hmm.
And do it as a minion march. So then have everyone dress up as minions, like as many people as we can get. Like I want 1,000 minions.
You want a world record minion
and yes,
run.
Yes. And then whoever is the fastest person dresses up like Gru. So like whoever can be at the head of the pack the whole time. So it's just a mile of minions chasing this one person. I think it would be cool to do it across Okaloosa Island. So then, you know what I mean? Like, everyone runs from Fort Walton to Destin or vice versa,
right.
And then ends for drinks or whatever it requires or something.
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
Mostly, I want to see it happen. I don't know if I want to run it, but I think if we could figure out a way to get 1,000 people dressed up as minions, all following Gru, I think.
Hey, I'm down for a dream.
I'm not owning it. You can take it and run with it. I think it would just be fun. I
think that's completely you. I think that's all you. But I love the
talk
idea.
To one of the running stores around here and see if they want to do it. Awesome. Well, I think we've already talked kind of about where you're going with it. Anything else?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks for coming on. One more time, where can people find you?
They can find me, Instagram at Rise and Ride Club, or my personal Instagram, the Sasha Lopez, LOPZ. Facebook at Rise and Ride Club, Rise and Ride Club at gmail.com. I mean, it's all Rise and Ride Club.
Rise and Ride Club?
Yeah,
that's it? Okay,
that's
cool.
it.
I'll put all your connections too, or if you have a link tree or something, that'll be in the show notes, so you guys can scroll down, find Sasha there, and all of the cool things she's doing.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.